Welcome to Gumball Love. I'm Melissa Ledger, professional relationship coach, creator of Gumball Love and the Back to You Academy. If you're ready to stop the cycle of toxic men, get through the breakup once and for all, and finally get back to you, you are in the right place. This journey is about healing your heart, and you are encouraged to take the pace that is just right for you. In the process, you will build a foundation of confidence and strength that will make you unshakable, I promise. So get ready to level up your mindset and your lifestyle as you awaken the seeds of greatness just waiting to burst into full bloom. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Ledger. All right, today we're going to talk about why men cheat. I feel like there's so many rabbit holes we go down and we read all these articles. And the one thing and the reason I sit here today is because I feel like we look up these different things that could be causing a guy to cheat. And a lot of them tell us what we can be doing differently to prevent this behavior. And I feel like it's the biggest lie we are told as women, that we can somehow control or change or redirect his behavior or his attention back to us. And so I'm going to give you such an insight. Like, you're never going to think of cheating the same after this podcast. And I hope that you continue to listen to all the other Gumball Love podcasts, because once you can decode these types of guys, this gumball guy, this attention addict, this guy that's trying to get high versus be connected to someone, once you understand his motives, then you can quickly separate yourself and look at this guy and go, wow, he has this problem. I want you to look at this just like you would look at someone who's addicted to drugs. You would not assume if you found out the guy you're dating is doing cocaine, you would not think, okay, there must be a way that I can change how I'm acting to make him stop doing the cocaine. That addiction is his own issue that he has to address by himself. And it is the exact same problem when it comes to cheating, for the most part. So I actually pulled up an article from Psychology Today that I'm going to go through with you. But first I want to offer my weekly self-care tip, because I want to give you a little different format each week. So self-care tip for this week is monthly or quarterly facials. So think about getting a facial in the season, spring, summer, fall, winter, or every 30 days. It's also just an amazing self-care in that it gives you relaxation, gives you some time. You put your phone in airplane mode. You go into the room for an hour if you book a 90-minute, whatever you do. And it just gives you like that time to just relax. And I also like a facial because they're not massaging your whole body. So you can just enjoy a small area like your neck, your shoulders, your face. We hold so much tension in our face too, because we're looking at screens and computers and we're reading things all the time. We're consuming information. So it's just like, I want to I think I literally will book one like after I do this podcast. Like, getting myself excited, although I just got one like last month. However, the reason I'm suggesting this to you is because when we all kind of look at our skin sometimes and we just feel like, I feel gross. I feel like my skin is just like not, we feel like, what is wrong? Like, I just feel gross all of a sudden. It's usually because our skin needs something. It needs hydration. It needs something that we're not giving it, right? So when you go in, they look at your skin under a huge magnifying glass with a big light. They can extract your pimples like amazing. I mean, I had a breakout one time and they were able to like pop all the zits and it didn't even look like I had a breakout anymore. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I just discovered a secret. Like, go have an esthetician extract all of them. You will look 1,000 times better than you picking at it like I do. So whether you have a breakout or you're just feeling like your skin isn't having that vibrancy, the elasticity, they'll tell you what it needs so you know what products to buy. So you're not standing at Sephora looking at the big wall of stuff being like, what the heck do I buy? And then listening to some girl who has no skin like you, and you can tell, or she has bad skin. If you ever saw somebody, you're like, I don't really want what you've got going on. And I know you're telling me this cream is like really great, but I'm looking at your skin and thinking, yeah, I don't want that skin. So anyway, go to an esthetician, go to an expert, and you will be amazed. You will walk out feeling like, oh my gosh, my skin has a glow. It feels so hydrated. And I always ask them for tips don't just lay there in silence. Ask them, what do you see in my skin? What do you think it needs? Do you see any areas of damage? And as a follow-up, every year we should go see a dermatologist to do a skin check, of any kind of mole or skin discoloration, just to make sure that we're not developing any early stages of skin cancer, because it's so common, so easily treated. However, your dermatologist can give you even more advice that can really just make you feel like your skin is looking amazing. So anyway, that's my self-care tip. I wish weekly, monthly, or quarterly facials. All right. So back to why men cheat. All right. So I actually love this article from Psychology Today. It was actually posted on April 13th, 2017 by Robert Weiss. And he is, his title is Love and Sex in the Digital Age. Okay. So he says, after almost 3 decades of working with couples decimated by infidelity, I can tell you that men who cheat on a beloved wife or girlfriend can be amazingly creative in how they explain why. Okay, so I'm going to skip down to some of these reasons. And this is just, give me a show where I can argue these points with men that are trying to justify it. Every guy wants to have sex with other women, and when the opportunity arises, he takes it. How many times have you heard guys say that? When sex is presented to a man, he will often take it. Okay. So it's usually the cheater that tells you that all men are like this, because men that cheat want to believe that all men are like them. Men that are players want to think that all men are like them, because at the root of this is insecurity. So when I teach you Gumball Love, actually, let's take a step back. I've shared also from Psychology Today the statistic that a happily married person is only 0.3 of a percentage point happier than a happily single person. So what is that differential? I mean, I look at that as almost like there is no difference, right? 0.3 of a percentage point. I mean, what, like they do one extra skip on the sidewalk in the day? I mean, I feel like you and I could probably compensate for that 0.3 of a percentage, and we'll call ourselves even. Okay. So let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, that if you and I work together, I can teach you how to be so happily single that dating will be not on your priority list. Weird, but I can get you there, I promise. Okay, so if that's the case, and we say, okay, and I almost thought about doing a whole podcast on this. I want you to think of it like this. What if you said, okay, or what if you absolutely knew for certain that finding a relationship will not make you happier? You'll stay the same happiness level you are right now. How differently would you look at finding a relationship if you went on any dating app and you realize no matter how good he looks, he's not going to make me happy? No one can make you happy. It's weird, right? It's like, whoa, people cannot make me happy. So what makes me happy? Also another podcast. But most people think, they go on the app. We've all done it. I've done it. We go on it where we think, I'm going to be happier by finding a person, so then we start dating. And for a while, we get conned because there's a lot of highs, or gumballs, sugar highs, adrenaline rushes, dopamine rushes in the beginning. The first phone calls, the first text messages, the first kiss, the first time you have sex, the first time you go somewhere, like, everything you do when you're new as a couple. It's like, oh my gosh, this is the first time we've gone to a baseball game together. It's the first time we've gone to a basketball game. It's the first time we've, gone to the park, or we've done, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to meet his family. Like, all the new stuff. There's little highs, there's little dopamine, little sugar highs and all of that. Gumballs. Okay. So if I come into the relationship and I'm unhappy and then I get all these highs, I am under the illusion that this person is making me happy. But then those sugar highs get fewer and farther in between, right? Everything isn't new anymore. It just can't be as exciting. You know when you're dating an addict because the same things, like they're no longer as excited to be around you. They're no longer reacting in the same way. They're not responding as fast. They're not looking forward to planning something in the future. And you start to get that feeling like, your eyes are moving around the room like, okay, you're searching for what happened. You look at your messages, you evaluate your interactions. You're like, WTF, what's going on? So when we start to suspect cheating, and what I hear in all my clients is they go to Instagram and they look at the accounts that he starts to like. And typically this is very common. We'll see guys go on and find those girls on Instagram that are posting their sexy pictures, and we'll see him liking or commenting on those pictures. And right away it's like, what's going on? Or he's messaging them because he's out there looking for something to make him happy. Because now what he thought was going to make him happy is no longer giving him that fix. So then he's out there getting another sugar high. I could just stop the podcast right there and you could be like, oh, it literally is as simple as that, but I'll give you a few more. Okay. So let's go with that first one. Every guy wants to have sex with other women, and when the opportunity arises, he takes it. Okay, so this puts you in the position of like, okay, so if I'm not there and some girl is offering sex, then he's going to take it. And I will tell you, a lot of women, especially, I've been talking to my Latina clientele, and they tell me, Melissa, in the Latin community, we are taught as women from young girls that men cheat and we just have to deal with it. And they were like, when we heard your concept, we realized, wow, this may not be the case. And it's not. It's only certain types of men that, like, let's say you're out of town. The guy that is not looking for the high, he doesn't need the dopamine rush. He doesn't look for that fix. Could have a woman offer him sex and he's going to be like, ew, I don't want to just have sex with somebody I don't know. Because, like I've said in my last Instagram post, the gumball guy is starving all the time. He's starving, and when he goes into the grocery store, he's going to have everything. He's going to have whatever is available. But imagine a man who's already full when you meet him. He's satisfied from the first date. When you meet him, when you text him, he's sitting there satisfied. He doesn't want a sugar high. He doesn't have the urge. He's not an addict. It's almost like someone saying, well, a cocaine addict saying everyone does cocaine, because maybe everyone around them is doing cocaine, or they're in a lifestyle where it just feels like everyone's doing it. But in reality, everyone is not doing cocaine. Maybe a lot of people have tried it, but the reality is the majority of people are not doing cocaine. So, but there is a certain percentage that are doing it all the time. So it's just like a cheating guy to think, oh, this is what men do. So when you hear men say these things like guys will have sex when it's presented to them, they're an addict. It's like, no, guys that have to get that fix in that moment will take it. But the men that are satisfied and have a sense of self-worth and pride and value, they look at their value. Not only, I mean, when you look at it, like when I look at just randomly having sex, like the risk of pregnancy, the risk of disease, the risk of the feeling, the gross feeling, like I'm not willing to do it because there's too much at stake. And so the pain of doing it versus the pleasure is the pain outweighs it so much because there's too much risk associated. And also I don't see the payoff because you guys have heard me rant about the average sexual experience is 2 to 8 minutes. And to have sex with someone that I don't know, and it's going to last 2 to 8 minutes, and then I could risk an STD or pregnancy. It's like, it's just not, the whole thing is like, no, not even worth it at all. To me, there are so many other things that are more fulfilling than that experience. So there are a lot of people that look at it that way. But the cheater will say, every guy will have sex when he's presented the opportunity, which is a lie. Okay. The next thing he lists is, this is his opinion is also that these are lies. He's not saying these are valid. He said it's a man's biological imperative to have sex with as many women as he can. Why should I be different? A lot of guys will think, oh yeah, monogamy is not natural. Well, maybe it's not natural to you, but it doesn't mean that it's not natural to everybody else. Okay. So I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. I'm just saying that people that cheat think that everyone thinks like them. They think everyone else feels like monogamy is, or they've convinced themselves of these ideas. Why? Because if I can convince you that everyone's doing cocaine, then it's okay for me to do it because everyone's doing it. So it's okay. Everyone's having sex. Nobody's monogamous. That's an old, that's an old fashioned because they want to justify it. Okay. He says, I'm not doing anything that most of my buddies don't do. If you don't believe me, ask them. Addicts hanging out with addicts, justifying their behavior. Birds of a feather flock together. Of course your friends are cheaters because that's who you're drawn to. The girls that I hang out with, my friends are not cheating on their boyfriends or they're not cheating on their husbands. In fact, I don't know of anyone that I know that's married that's cheating on their husband. Like I just don't even know those kinds of people or hang out with them. It's just not who I'm drawn to. So I'm of the mindset that happily married people do not cheat because I've seen couples go for decades now, 2 decades that I've known. Some people I've known that have been married almost 20 years and never have cheated. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not who they are. It's not what they're wired to be. But when you say this stuff to a guy that can't imagine not cheating, he's like, oh, they're lying. The dude's totally cheating. Because in his mind, in his perspective, it doesn't exist that way. Okay. Next one is, if my wife hadn't gained so much weight, or if she was nicer to me or more attentive, I wouldn't have even thought about going elsewhere. Okay. So a lot of times people will say, you can't let yourself go in a relationship and expect the guy to stay attractive or expect you to stay attractive in the guy's eyes. And so they'll say, people will wander because they lose attraction to their significant other. And so, of course, I think, if this goes on for a long period of time, let's say, you've gone for like 10 years and you haven't been attracted and they've never done anything, I can see where people can cheat because the relationship just basically turns into something completely different. And some people just check out. And I don't necessarily think they're cheating to get high, but it's just been so long and they haven't connected with their partner. And it's both of their faults, right? Like if you just let your relationship go and you're never really connecting, then, that's to me a different story, different podcast. We'll have to cover that. Actually, I'm working on having a therapist come on and join us. So I might ask her about this one. All right. So let's just go back to it though. If she hadn't gained so much weight or if she was nicer to me or more attentive. Okay. So this says, if she doesn't do what I need her to do, then I'm going to wander. So it shows a lack of commitment to her as a person because really the healthiest couples have such a strong bond. Like I can tell you of all the married couples I know, a little weight gain or even a lot of weight gain, there's such a value put on her or him, either way, as a mother, as a father, as a spouse, a friend, that they would never even dream of being able to inflict that kind of pain on another person because their needs weren't getting met for a period of time. It's very selfish to say, if you're not meeting my needs, I'm going to go to somebody who can meet my needs. Because what needs are they meeting? Physical? Like, okay, so you're going there and you're getting just sex. And so you're getting an orgasm, you're getting conversation. Like, what need is being met? I really want you to think about this stuff because it's like, okay, so it's not going to be for the orgasm. It's not going to be even, maybe it is for the conversation, but the reality is they don't feel like enough focus or attention is on them. So some people go through depression. They go through things in their lives. They get married and then something happens, and any variety of things can happen where it can make a person not feel like themselves. And so we can't be in relationships with people where we are not free to fail or have periods of time where we go through something. What if you marry someone and their sister or brother passes away or a child passes away? And then they aren't even emotionally available enough to meet someone else's needs because they're going through grief. But I know of situations where gumball guys won't be able to deal with their wife or significant other's grieving process because they can't wait for her to be done. They need the attention because they are dependent on other people to make them happy. So when you go back and you realize some people, and we've all been guilty of it, where we're reaching out and we're asking, I need you to make me happy. And so then they have a juggling act going on. They're juggling those gumballs, trying to figure out which one is going to fit in this situation to make you happy. It's way too much pressure to give to somebody. So as a side note, right now, I want you to really start thinking, if I'm choosing a partner, the biggest thing I'm going to look for, like someone asked me in the academy last week, Melissa, should we make a list of things? And I get resistant to choosing any one way to tell you, this is the way it is, this is the way it isn't, these are the rules. If you notice, I try to take as many rules away from you as possible, because what I have realized with love and romance is it's not any one person's opinion. And I never want you to take just my opinion. I'm just one girl. And any guy out there giving advice, he's just one dude. So I want you to listen to people that give you a more organic approach to where it's like, what fits you? And we only know what fits our needs by knowing who we are and what we actually need. And so that's a whole process in and of itself. That's what we do in the Back to You Academy, is we help you see, like, okay, what have I been doing? What exactly do I need? Who am I really? And what am I looking for? And what is actually going to be a good partner for me? And one of the things that I can tell you I look for now is a man that's full, who is secure in his own life right now without me. What is he doing without me in the picture? And because I always tell my girls when I'm working with them and we've kind of gotten to the end, I tell them, you know what, now you're move-in ready. You're like the model home. The furniture's there, it's decorated, everything looks pristine. There's no construction needed. There's no, like, now you're ready. And not that you changed a bunch of stuff about yourself, but it's like you cleared things out, you got things organized, you figured out your style, your needs, your everything. And now it's like, oh, okay. Now I'm moving right. Now I'm ready, and I don't feel like I have to change a bunch of things. I see my value. I see what I'm looking for, and I see what's going to contribute. So we want to look at this at a guy as well. We're not looking for a guy to make us happy. Isn't that crazy? Like, when you think about it, he's not going to make you happy. So what's he going to do? It's the big question that I'm going to be asking my girls in the academy this week is, if he's not making you happy, what is he doing? And what are we looking for in this relationship? Because the guy that's cheating is looking for you to make him happy. And he's like, come on, you're not doing your job. So what's the deal? And so it puts you in panic mode. And then there's people making millions of dollars on teaching you what to do in that panic mode. Okay, well, first of all, be careful of what you say, and you don't want to scare him away. You don't want to do, it's like, oh my God, like no happily married woman is doing any of that. Do you know that I researched this and I was like, I asked so many happily married women, I would literally pull out these BS lists of crap that they're telling us to do. And it was like, did you ever do any of this? Have you ever even thought of this stuff? And they just look at it like I pulled some thing from an alien out of a spaceship. Like, it's like, they're like, no, I don't really, You know how many times I got that answer? No. And they'll be trying to, like, none of them go, no, that's stupid. Usually happily married people don't really feel like they have a lot of answers. They're like, I don't know, I just work hard at it and we just get along. Like, it's super annoying because they just like do it it's not like it's effortless, but they just don't really see that they're doing anything that great. And it's not like it's monumental, but in a lot of ways, I really think it is, because they manage friendship. They don't cheat on each other. They're there for each other. They're true teammates and partners, raising families and taking care of dogs and sick parents and whatever. There's all these dynamics that happen. Like life carries so many other responsibilities. What is this guy that needs you to make him happy? What's he going to do when your mom gets sick and you have to put her in a retirement home and then you have to take care of her? I see couples that the dude is going and taking care of the mom and being like, hey, he's proactively thinking we should probably bring your mom, blah, 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 because of this and this. Because he doesn't need her to do you see how lopsided it is when we expect somebody else to fill our needs? We have to come in every day. Our partner does not meet our needs. Your partner does not meet your needs. You meet your needs. Now, there are things they can contribute to your life, but they are bonus because you can live single and meet all your needs just fine. But the gumball guy does not give you this liberty of he doesn't operate this way. He is under the impression that you are going to meet his needs. So here's the other excuse they say. If I got enough or better sex from home, I wouldn't cheat. If a guy says that, it shows how little value he puts on the relationship, on the person, that he's willing to inflict pain again because he wants a little bit better sex. So he wants a more intense orgasm. He wants more, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I want more variety in my sex life. So I'm willing to put my relationship in jeopardy to get that. Do you see how I need to go get my high? I need to go get my fix. So I'm willing to, because listen, if you really are super unhappy with the sex that you're having and you don't feel like you're ever going to get a better version and it is that important to you, then you need to just leave the relationship. That's the honorable thing to do. If it's like, I'm not happy, I'm not attracted to them anymore, I'm not happy, and again, we're saying I'm not happy, but does become a point when that person may not make you happy, but they can make you miserable. They can do things that make your life very difficult to maintain happiness. And so they can bring toxicity into your life. And so, hey, you can always walk away, but the person that stays in the relationship for the benefits that they get, and then they try to go and get bonus sex somewhere else because, I don't know, this isn't quite up to what I'm looking for. I want something a little bit better. You're not meeting my needs. It makes it her fault. You're not providing. Instead, he needs to show up to the relationship and say, I would really like to have XYZ in the bedroom. And if she repeatedly says no, or it's just not something that they can be compatible on, that's the issue they have to work on. And when you are mature, you realize if I work on this and this is important to me, and it doesn't have to just be sex, but I can't use every example, but you know what I'm saying? Like you go into the relationship. You don't go out of the relationship. Going outside the relationship is lazy. It's like, I don't want to do the work to get what I want. So I'm going to text this girl on Facebook Messenger or Instagram and get a quick, easy hit and then come back into the marriage, because usually the wife is providing. If you're the wife, you're providing a home, you're taking care of the children, meals, all of the benefits, right? So he wants the benefits. That's a different kind of sex with benefits, the benefits of the home and the wife, yet he goes and has sex somewhere else. A little bit different spin on that phrase. Okay. If my job wasn't so stressful, I wouldn't need the release that I get from online sex. So here's a guy cheating online and he's saying it's a stress reliever. And this is his justification. So we hear all these excuses from guys. I just need the release. It's not that big of a deal. But it's not a release. It's a high. It's a quick fix. But he's getting it. He's dependent on these external sources. Notice how anytime he fixes a problem, it's always another woman giving the fix. He's never fixing it on his own. It's always somebody else giving him what he needs. Let's see. Cheating? Really? I mean, who would rationally call getting a lap dance in a strip club infidelity? It's just what guys do for fun. Again, guys that get lap dances think all guys are getting lap dances. I can tell you that there are guys that are like, man, I can't even tell you the last time I've ever even been to a strip club. It's a thing they may have done when they were younger, if that. But there are guys that knew they wanted to be a doctor when they were 20 years old and they were in school and then they went to med school, and that kind of lifestyle, drinking. I'm one of those people that I never partied when I was young. It never appealed to me. It just wasn't exciting. I found out later I have this extraordinarily high tolerance for alcohol. So I never even got drunk very often because I never got the feeling of being drunk, which I found out was like some kind of family thing that one of my uncles is like, yeah, that's in our family. Like you have that gene where alcohol just doesn't affect me very often. Sometimes it does, but not always. So I was one of those people who was like, why do people drink? It's so stupid. Like I don't get it. Because I just wasn't feeling tipsy very often. I would feel a little bit drunk, like I feel a little different, but I wasn't like, woohoo, having fun. So I was not a person that was, there are people who be like, everyone drinks, everyone parties. No, everyone doesn't. Everyone is not doing the same stuff. Okay. So it's interesting that again, it says my dad looked at magazines and went to strip clubs and it wasn't a big deal. Well, I have webcams and chats and interactive sex. What's the difference? The difference is you're getting high because it's a stimulant. And I've done this in other podcasts. All of these things are stimulants. If we just remove the women, we remove the means, and we just look at the payoff, it's just a stimulant. So the way I can cool down any guy who has a boner for porn or external sources, I always say, why do you need the stimulant? Can you get high from natural sex? Or do you need to add to it? Do you need to add Viagra? Do you need to add porn? Do you need to add a webcam? Like, why do you need the stimulant? Because the more stimulant I add, the more dependent I become on the stimulant. It's just like drugs. If I do drugs, pretty soon I need more and more and more. Heroin only works at that level for so long. Then you need it to be more intense, right? That's why these people are finally sleeping on the streets all over our country. We have this opioid crisis because they get addicted, and then what was enough is not enough, and then they add more and more and more stimulant because we become addicted. So when you hear this language, now I want you to think, oh, he's an addict. And maybe you are an addict of something else. Maybe you've had to give up alcohol. Maybe you have done drugs. And if you have gone through rehab, I want you to know that if you're dating a gumball guy, he would have to do that exact same thing and take on his addiction to attention just the same as you did through rehab to overcome it. If you've gone through the 12-step program, I believe that gumball guys would need a 12-step program to overcome this addiction to other women, to getting highs from attention fixes in all different areas. Let's see. If the police had been out chasing actual bad guys, I wouldn't have gotten caught in that prostitution sting. Why don't they go after some real criminals? Like, prostitution isn't a big deal. It's been around forever. Who cares? Guys have been sleeping with hookers since the beginning of time, which is true. I mean, there's always going to be a guy that is going to be sleeping with hookers. But, it's like, what kind of guy is okay with himself being that guy? Does that make sense? Like, why is he okay being the guy that is sleeping with strippers? You know what I'm saying? Like, we want to look for men that have a different moral standard, and that isn't even in their dialogue, and they don't even have friends that are talking like that. I'm only sexting and flirting. What's the harm in that? I don't meet up with any of these women in person. It's just a game. Which also explains the guys that don't meet up with you in person and don't set up dates. They're probably married. The guy that like, why? We're having this great conversation. He never meets me. It's because he's in a relationship and he's bored. But here's the thing. He's bored with himself. He's bored because he doesn't know how to make himself happy. He doesn't know what to do with himself when no one else is giving him a pacifier. The gumball, think of it as, remember those rings when you were a kid? I think they still have them where it looks like a big diamond ring and it's really like a sucker. I was just laughing because I was thinking like, if we just put gumballs on those, it's kind of like the guy just wants to suck on the gumball. Like he just wants, which sounds gross, but all of us with dirty minds, which is probably 100% of us. Maybe it's not. You're like, Melissa, I don't have a dirty mind. Just because you have a dirty mind doesn't mean I do. Anyway, but like, it's actually kind of what we're doing is they're looking at us like, ooh, she has a sugar high. And that's what they're craving. And we're giving them their drug, right? And so if we change our perspective and we see that, oh, this is the game they want the sugar. They don't want the actual meal. They're there for dessert. So the guy that is not asking you out, the whole dating process is the meal. All of the flirting and the fun and the excitement, that's like the dessert, right? But the meal is like, okay, so where did you grow up? And like, tell me about your family and why did you work? And like, were they really listening to why you took certain jobs? Like when I'm on a date with a guy and I'm interested, I'm really listening. Like, what is this guy? Who is this guy? Where has he been? What does he do? What does he love? Like, does he have a good relationship with his family? And how does he treat his mom? And, you're just like listening. I'm interested. I'm not just there to get compliments. But just imagine if you were. Imagine if you were there because you were like, tell me I'm beautiful. Imagine if that's the only reason you were there. Then you would constantly direct the conversation back to you being amazing and tell me how great I am. Like my favorite line from my sister for a gumball guy. Tell me how great I am so I can love myself more. Basically what he's there. Please tell me I'm great. Tell me I'm hot. Tell me I'm cool. Here's my penis. Tell me you think my penis is amazing. They're so insecure about their penis. That's why they send us a picture. Here's my penis. Do you like my penis? And we're like, oh God, it's like getting hit in the face. Like any guy sending pictures of penises. What are you doing? This is a guy that thinks all women want to look at that. I don't know what women want to look at a picture of a penis, but I haven't met one yet. Have you? Have you met women? Actually, I do know of one person. She's really she always she wants us to send her the pictures of the penises we get. She's disgusting. Anyway, I say that with love, but damn. But yeah, like most women are like, this is gross. Why are you sending this to me? But like the guy doesn't check like, hey, is this kind of girl that wants to see a rant? Like, do you want to see my penis on a picture before you've actually seen it in real life? These are questions that these guys don't ask because they want to hear, do you like me? Do you like my penis? Do you think I'm cute? Did you like my picture? Was I cuter in person than I was in my picture? What'd you think? What'd you think? What'd you think? Do you like me? 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 Over and over and over. That's all they're doing. So when he says, well, I'm just flirting. I know you're on there going, do you like me? I think you're sexy. Do you think I'm sexy? That's all that's happening. Schmoopy on a superficial level. That's it. That's all they're doing. So when you can see it like that, it's like, oh, as my sister says again, oh, Peanut. Oh, Peanut, are you done going online for your gumballs? And you getting enough gumballs in your little games that you're flirting? Like, what are you doing, dude? Come on. Like, I always wish some like guy that they really respected could like, like a Tony Robbins type would walk in and go, dude, what are you doing? I mean, do you need this stuff? Like, what do you need this for? And have him be like, well, yeah, I mean, I'm just like on here because, yeah, you're an idiot. Like, this is disgusting. You can be better than this. This is just, these are games. You're right. They're games, but this is like, you're a dork. What are you doing? Stop it. And, but they're around all their other buddies. They're like, yeah, I was talking to this chick. Look, she sent me a picture of her boobs. It's like, this is what they're doing. This isn't sexy. This isn't what alpha males are not doing this. Alpha males are running corporations and strategizing and doing exciting things and contributing actual value to the world. They're not yeah, I'm talking to like 5 girls online, man, and I'm smoking a joint while I'm doing it. And, like I just see it this way now. It's just like, and it's sad because then you see the high volume of this going on. But I hope that I have deglamorized this idea that there's some exciting girl out there and she's got amazing boobs and this is what he's really looking for. And if you could just have these boobs and you could say these things, then and only then you would have his attention. And then what? Okay, so you have his attention. For how long? It's like a fly landing on a surface. Like, you're going to have his attention for that long. You better do something exciting or he's going to leave again. And he's going to look. So he's exhausting. Men that cheat are exhausting because they're running around looking for all these things. Oh, I want this color. I want the pink gumball. I want the green gumball. Give me the blue one. Give me the white one. Give me the red one. Oh, I don't know. And what flavor do I want? Oh, I don't know. What am I hungry for? He's in the grocery store and he's starving all the time. And in the beginning, you didn't realize that you were you were like giving him all the carbs and the sugar, and he was like starving and eating it up, feeling that elation and satisfaction that he was starving for. You were feeding him in rapid fire, and he was like, yes, this is the greatest thing ever. You're so amazing. And you were like, oh my God, you're so, and it brings out this incredible side to him. Like, he's high. So he's like, woohoo, I'm feeling good. I feel sexy. I feel desirable. The fact that I don't have any money in my bank account doesn't really matter right now because she thinks I'm amazing and she's telling me all day long. And then like date 5, you're like, so how long have you not been working? Oh, okay. So have you found anything online? Have you been looking? And then he's like, well, I don't like talking about this. And I have been looking, but I'm just like not into what I used to do. And I just need some time. Like, he's basically not happy with himself, right? Whatever he's doing. It's usually, every time I coach somebody, it's usually he doesn't have enough money. He's not happy with where he is. And I actually have this as a post. I don't know if I'm going to post it. I'll tell you, but he set a standard for himself that he cannot achieve and then blames you for that standard. So it's your fault because you're expecting him to be something he doesn't know how to be. And you're like, what? I wasn't there for that standard. I wasn't at that meeting. But he feels this sense of lack. And when he can't be the thing he thinks that he should be, like these guys, it's like, what do you think? You should be able to roll in like some Maserati and have this high-rise job in Manhattan, and you need like an apartment overlooking Central Park. I mean, it's like, what do these guys think that we're looking for? I don't know, but a lot of times they've set a standard in their mind, and then they get angry when they can't meet that standard. And then they get frustrated with us because they think that that's what we want. Yeah, well, you girls just, every girl is just a gold digger. And, I'm just sick of women wanting blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, basically you would have just gone to Olive Garden and hung out with them and had the soup salad and breadsticks. You know what I mean? Like, you would have just, whatever he could do. If he was like, yeah, I want to go to Olive Garden, you would have gone because you're there to meet him. But he thinks, yeah, well, I can't take you out on 5-star meals. And you're like, whoa, dude. Wasn't expecting that. But see, in his mind, he has this idea or fantasy of what he should be, and he can't meet that. So out of frustration, he will go and get a quick hit from a girl that's enamored with him. So that's why you find all this stuff online, like girls that he's talking to, girls he's liking on Instagram. All this stuff is going on because he's so unhappy with himself. And again, he is dependent on somebody else making him happy. So this is the number one thing we look for. In your mind, you have to be like, does this guy depend on other people to make him happy? Look for that evidence. Is he complaining about other people all the time? I need this person to make me happy. I need this person to act a certain way to make me happy. Therapy is all about understanding how we can't change people and how we are It's like, what's my fault? What's their fault? And how do I make peace with it? And how do I move on? Not expecting them to change to make me happy, right? So if we haven't gone through that work and we don't understand, look, I mean, sometimes I've even said to myself recently, okay, this person frustrates you in the exact same way, like every time. Like, how long is it going to take for you to realize that that person is always going to do that? And it's up to you to manage how you're interacting with that person. And sometimes it's just people we interact with all the time. And we get frustrated, right? It's normal. However, we have to learn how to manage ourselves. This is something the Gumball guy, never learns. He's always going to blame other people. He's always dependent on the external surroundings and what other people are doing. They determine his mood, which makes him extremely moody and unpredictable, because whatever everybody else is doing and however they're making him feel is how he's going to feel. He's not in charge of himself. He's not in charge of himself. He's not in control of himself. So you are what he depends on. And then when you can't figure out what to do, he's like, well, you're just not making me happy anymore. And I want you to be like, you know what? You're right. I'm not, because I don't want that job. I don't want the job of making you happy, because I'm underqualified. We're all underqualified to make other people happy. I hope you're feeling some relief right now. I hope you're like, dang, this is like, whoa, okay, I'm not responsible. You're not responsible. So I love this guy in Psychology Today. Let's say his name again, Robert Weiss, PhD. He gives the 13 reasons men cheat and the reasons they justify it. The few tips he gives is immaturity. He says, if he does not have a lot of experience in committed relationships, or he doesn't fully understand that his actions will inevitably have consequences like hurting his partner, he may think it is fine to have sexual adventures. He might think of his commitment to monogamy as a jacket he can put on or take off if he pleases. Ooh, that's good. Depending on circumstances. See, and those circumstances are, do I need attention right now, or am I okay? And he'll congratulate himself when he chooses to be monogamous, because he'll be like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But then when he needs it, he'll justify. He'll take, ooh, I like that, as a jacket. Way to go. Robert, killing it here. Number 2, he says, is co-occurring issues. He may have an ongoing problem with alcohol or drugs that affect his decision-making, resulting in regrettable sexual decisions. Or maybe he has a problem like sexual addiction, meaning he compulsively engages in sexual fantasies and behaviors as a way to numb out and avoid life. Hashtag Gumball. The Gumball numbs. The Gumball soothes. This is what they do. Insecurity. This is the biggest one. He may feel as if he is too old or too young, not handsome enough, not rich enough, not smart. Oh my God, I just said this. I didn't even read this bottom part. Not rich enough, not smart enough. An astonishing amount of male cheating is linked, at least in part, to a midlife crisis to bolster his flagging ego. Flagging ego? Whatever. He seeks validation from women other than his mate, using his sextracurricular spark. I love that. Sextracurricular spark of interest to feel wanted, desired, and worthy. But see, here's the thing. Temporary sex will not make you feel wanted, desired, or worthy. It will in that moment, but the moment the orgasm is over and you're laying there next to somebody you don't really know, who isn't really invested in you, doesn't really care about you on a personal level, now all of a sudden you have to deal with the fact that you feel undesirable and unworthy, but they will seek it out to numb that temporarily. And then he goes into many others, like he feels like the relationship is over, and lack of male support is one of the other things he, I'll probably just add this link in the show notes so you can read this article, because I like to feather in every once in a while. There's really great men that write articles, or really good men that are coming out with some awesome content. So I want you to have other sources of just outside of me, that you're always hearing the same kind of content. Really, we're all kind of saying similar things, but I want you to be able to hear the difference between good advice and bad advice. So the good advice is telling you how to take care of yourself and find also healthy people that are not looking for external sources to make them happy. And that the two of you will come together and you will be imperfect people and you will not have, this happily ever after fairy tale. However, your partner will not be dependent on you for these things and they will not blame you for going to a strip club. They won't blame you because, the sex isn't that great right now. They'll be able to have that communication with you. So, and also when someone says like the sex isn't that great, I want you to just keep in mind, great sex comes from intimacy, and intimacy is friendship. So if you want to have really great sex with someone, you have to really know them deeply. It's not about some amazing position. It's not about some kinky thing you try. It's about really connecting on an emotional and a spiritual. So you're really with that person, and also just getting to know them. When you know somebody and you know what their likes and dislikes are without getting graphic, then that's where the best sex happens, because those people really know each other and they've learned how that person really works. The person that's looking for good sex outside the relationship, especially where they used to have good sex, but they don't feel like it's good anymore, it's because they're not invested in it. They're like, they want it to be easy. And they like the idea of learning what somebody else likes, they're not even interested. They want you to learn what they like, but they're not going to invest in you because they're not like participating equally. And so the sex is never going to be great for that person because they don't understand what it takes to have it. So I also don't want you to sit there and feel like, well, he used to think our sex was great and now he doesn't. Well, of course, because when it's new, it feels different, but it's like he's getting high off of the new part. So it's not about the sex. It's about his commitment to the level of connection, right? And of course, there are physical dynamics to sex, and we could have that. That's not a topic I really get into, because I feel like if you're with somebody that you really love and you have the most amazing, deep connection with them on a friendship level, and you are emotionally, and if you're invested, then you actually don't even need sex. I always imagine if I marry someone and he is paralyzed from the waist down and he can never have sex again, I want to make sure I'm married to someone that I want to talk to every day. Because as long as I can have great conversation and I feel like somebody that I can talk about my dreams and the events of the day, and I can spend time with family and we can experience life together, sex is a tiny, tiny part of it. It's really about who that person is and ultimately your best friend, right? So sex should be such a minor part, because you might be with somebody who gets cancer and they go through chemotherapy and they're not even, it's like, you wouldn't even have the expectation. So again, we have to have our needs met without that other person. It makes you the best partner. This is why I created the Back to You Academy, because I realized the best partners are the ones that become independent without the other person. And then when another person comes in, you are rock solid, because you can handle everything without them. Like if I get married right now and then my husband's like, he gets sick or I can pay all the bills. I can manage the household. I can take care of everything. Right. And I would marry somebody who is that independent as well. So that way you're alpha and alpha. You can take care of it all. You know what I'm saying? Like you are not a person who is dependent. Okay. So, I love this one that he says, lack of male social support. He may have undervalued his need for supportive friendships with other men, expecting his social and emotional needs to be met entirely by his significant other. Huge problem with Gumball, guys. And when she inevitably fails in that duty, he seeks fulfillment elsewhere. So see, again, dependency on other women. And when he doesn't have male friends, my therapist would say this a lot too, we have to look, I don't mean we're like self-sufficient and that we only depend on ourselves. I depend on my friends, my family, and I depend on God. But I have that really spread out, with the most heavily weighted on God, right? For me, I lean most heavily on God, but I also have a lot of friendships. So a significant other would definitely contribute. I'm not devaluing their contribution, but I'm just saying, I'm not going to go, oh my gosh, now that you're here, I'm going to give you all the weight that I normally gave to God and my mom and my dad and my sister and all my girlfriends and my coworkers and everything. I'm going to put that in your lap. No, You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to have it balanced so that we're not so heavily dependent. And so when you have friendships, there's certain things you tell your girlfriend that you're not going to tell your significant other everything, but pretty much, like most couples I know, the husband knows every freaking thing. He goes through many other things, like they may have been abused as a child. They suffer from selfishness. It's possible that his primary consideration is for himself and himself alone. Therefore, he can therefore lie and keep secrets without remorse or regret as long as it gets him what he wants. It's possible he never intended to be monogamous. Rather than seeking his vow of monogamy as a sacrifice made to and for his relationship, he views it as something to be avoided and worked around. Can I just tell you, being in corporate America over 20 years, I've seen this over and over and over again. The guy shows up for the trade show, looks legit, has 2 beers in him, and suddenly his marriage becomes negotiable. And the conversation, this is why I have like a 2-drink maximum at any work event, and I go to my hotel room because I don't want to be there when that conversation's happening. And it's so funny to me also at corporate events, like everyone wants you to get drunk, but then the people that get too drunk are the ones they talk about later. It's just like, you get drunk, come on, have some drinks. But if you have too many, then you're like the talk of the work. So I was always like, yeah, I've avoided that for my entire career. Never regretted it. But you see this a lot with men that negotiate their monogamy because they're away from their wives, they're in a strange city, and that loneliness immediately creeps in and they need to get their fix. They're not satisfied with themselves because I can just go up to my room, I can read, I go work out. To me, there's like never enough time to get all this stuff done. The last thing I'm thinking is, I need to go find a dude. But this is how their mind works. So I need to go find some attention. I need to get my fix. So he goes on and on. This is a really good article. So I'll leave a link in the show notes to this article from Psychology Today, again by Robert Weiss. So thanks, Robert, for helping me out in this podcast, because I love therapists. I love talking to them. I love just hearing all their interaction because they have, thousands of hours with different dynamics. So they just come with a wealth of information. So I just highly recommend therapy for everyone. And if you don't have a therapist, find one that you love, because if you find a good one, they will literally give you gold every single session. All right. So I hope this helps. And I want to thank you so much for hanging with me on the podcast. And also, I want to thank those of you that have left me reviews, because I'm telling you, reviews are the lifeblood of a podcast. And I want to just read a couple of these for you. Let's see. Delilah, maybe. Delia. I don't know if I'm saying that right. She said, I absolutely love this podcast. I find myself shaking my head saying, yep, that was me on every single episode. 5-star review. Thank you so much for that review. I so appreciate it. Then we have another one, which I know these are like your, probably your online names, but it looks like, Kayla New, maybe. She says, Melissa is very passionate and authentic. She truly wants to help other women to recognize what a healthy relationship should look like. She uses her experience to connect with her audience. She is empathetic. She dissects the gumball guy and the reasons for his actions or non-action. Attention. Helps people who are dealing with a gumball love and to recognize the situation, gain clarity, and move on. Great content. Thank you so much. I appreciate your reviews. If you haven't left a review, you know what I kind of feel like is it's sort of hard to find, where do you leave a review? So if you're on your podcast app, I'm just going to use Apple for example, you kind of have to go where the main show is. So if you go in and you have to scroll to the bottom, and you'll see on Apple it'll say see all episodes, and then you have to scroll to the bottom and you'll be able to see, it'll say previously played, see all episodes, and then it will show you the reviews, and then you can tap to rate. and it'll give you the option. So a lot of people give 5 stars, but then right under that, it says write a review. So if you have trouble finding it, let me know, because I do think it's a little bit of, it's like, where do I leave the review? And sometimes I've even had to look again, even as a podcaster. So don't feel bad if it takes you a quick second to find it. But if you have comments, I read every single one. I'd love to hear from you. So thank you guys for keeping this 100% 5-star reviews. I don't have any that are even 4 stars. So thank you so much for that. And please don't leave a 4-star review just because I told you there are no 4-star reviews. So anyway, I think that is it. So just a reminder, go to gumballlove.com if you want the #1 top red flags of Gumball Guys. The signs, the symptoms. I wrote an entire PDF as my free gift to you as signing up for my VIP list. So go to gumballlove.com and put your name, your email address, and put in get the red flags, and you will have a list that's like a Bible of all the things you can look for from date 1 all the way into a long-term relationship. So I will see you guys. Sorry for the delay on this podcast. I was in Atlanta, and I had my mom was in town this weekend, so just had a lot of life stuff happen. And but I will continue to get these out every single Monday. So thank you so much. And until next time, I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more information or to schedule a private coaching session, or better yet, to join the next Back to You Academy, go to gumballlove.com. If you loved this podcast, I would love for you to share it with your friends. And if you really loved it, a 5-star review is the best compliment you can give. Remember, you are enough, you are right where you should be, and the only thing you have to do is keep going. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. Until next time, I'll see you soon.